The day before my wedding, my twin sister and I were kidnapped. My fiancé and parents racked their brains, doing everything they could to come up with the ransom, but in the end, they could only afford to pay enough to save my twin. Once she was rescued, she took my place and married my fiancé, acting as if the kidnapping had never happened. As for me, left behind with no one willing to pay for my freedom, I was butchered. The kidnappers cut my uterus out while I was still alive and dumped me, blood-soaked and barely breathing, on the street. Word of my fate spread quickly and soon, everyone in the city mocked me as a worthless, barren woman. Just when I had been abandoned by the world, my childhood sweetheart, Hubert Noteboom, rebelled against his family's wishes and married me. He treated me with love, cherished me, and made me believe I was his treasure. 3 years into our marriage, however, I accidentally found a video at home. It was a footage of him performing a uterus transplant surgery. In the video, Hubert held my sister's hand tenderly, his eyes full of affection as he reassured her. "Neil, don't be scared. Sophie is your twin. Her uterus is a perfect match for you. With me doing the surgery, once it's done, you'll finally be able to have your own child." Then the screen shifted. I saw Hubert standing over me, a scalpel in his hand. My eyes were blindfolded. There was no anesthesia. As I screamed and sobbed in terror, he made the cut. Watching the video triggered a sharp, gut-wrenching pain, tearing through me from the inside out. It felt like I was reliving the nightmare all over again. My body trembled as I clamped a hand over my mouth, tears streaming down my face. The truth hit me so hard I nearly blacked out. So the kidnapping had been Hubert's plan all along for Neil. But if he had already taken what he wanted from me, then why? Why did he pretend to love me? Why did he marry me, making me believe he was my salvation, when all along he was the one who destroyed me? A crushing pain spread through my chest. Just then, a chatus notification popped up on Hubert's still-open computer screen. It was a voice message from one of his colleagues. "Hubert, the amount of blood you've taken from Sophie this month is already way over the safe limit. You took her uterus and now you're draining her blood month after month? She's only getting weaker. I don't get it. Didn't you marry her to atone for what you did? Why are you still hurting her?" A reply appeared on the screen. Hubert's words were cold and detached. "I only married Sophie to keep her close. She's nothing more than a convenient blood source to help Neil's body accept the uterus transplant. I couldn't marry the woman I truly loved, but at least Sophie looks exactly like Neil. In a way, I guess I still got to marry her after all." A bitter chuckle escaped him, as if he were mocking himself. "Anyway, enough of this. Neil is due in a few days. She needs more blood. I'll send over a few more bags of Sophie's tomorrow." More desperate messages flooded in. The sender sounded frantic. "Hubert, have you lost your mind? You just took her blood 2 days ago and now you're doing it again? Do you even care that your actual wife is suffering?" But Hubert didn't bother responding. "Oh." I cried so much that my tears had run dry. So this was the real reason he married me. He had stolen my chance to have children, and now he was slowly draining me of everything, just to keep Neil alive. Hubert, he really would do anything for my dear sister, wouldn't he? The sound of the front door opening jolted me back to reality. Heart pounding, I hurried to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, trying to wash away my tears, trying to erase the pain. The moment I stepped out, I forced myself to act as if I had seen nothing, as if I hadn't just uncovered the truth. Alas, Hubert's gaze lingered on me, his eyes narrowing. He had noticed the redness in mine. He crossed the room in a few quick strides, pulling me into his arms. His hand instinctively rested on my stomach, massaging it with practiced ease. "Baby, have you been crying? Is your scar hurting again? If it hurts, tell me, okay? Don't keep it to yourself. It kills me to see you in pain." Kills him? How ironic. Wasn't he the one who caused all of this? I could barely stomach the sight of his fake concern. Just then, Hubert gave a small wave and a team of chefs entered the room, carrying baskets full of blood-nourishing ingredients. Ever since we got married, Hubert had been drawing my blood every month under the pretense of routine checkups, and every month, without fail, he would arrange a lavish feast filled with nourishing foods. I used to think it was his act of love. Now that I had known the truth that he could care less about me, everything changed. I knew he was just making sure my body could keep producing enough blood for my twin sister Neil. I let out a bitter smile. "I don't want to eat this anymore." After a pause, I looked up at him. "Besides, after all these years of checkups, nothing's ever been wrong with me. Hubby, can I stop the blood tests now?" Hubert frowned slightly, but the look of displeasure quickly disappeared as he reached out and gently cupped my face, his fingers lingering as if savoring the touch. "Baby, your body has been weak ever since your injury. These checkups are absolutely necessary. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together. You have no idea how important you are to me. I won't let you take any risks." If the past me heard that, I probably would have been touched to the point of tears. But now that I knew the real meaning behind his words, my heart felt like it was sinking into a bottomless pit. Just as Hubert was about to feed me, his phone rang. He answered, and in an instant, his eyes lit up. His voice carried a trace of excitement. "Baby, something urgent just came up at the hospital. I have to go. Be good and eat all your supplements, okay? Hubby will check when he gets back." I nodded obediently, but the moment he walked out the door, I swept everything on the table straight into the trash. I then headed to the study, ready to copy the video onto a drive, until a notification popped up on my phone. Neil had just posted on her social feed. "What's it like to have a childhood sweetheart who loves you more than life itself? Huge thanks to Hub for booking out an entire hospital just for me, and bringing in the country's top postpartum care team. 3. Every important moment in my life, you're always there by my side. So lucky to have you." In the attached photo, Hubert was holding Neil's newborn in his arms, his eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Around the baby's tiny neck hung the Noteboom's priceless family heirloom, a symbol of status and inheritance. For a moment, I just stared, my mind blank. My fingers slipped, accidentally clicking on a different hidden folder on the computer. A document popped up across the screen. It was a lifetime trust agreement. I, Hubert, voluntarily bequeath 90% of my assets into an annual trust, solely for the benefit of Neil and her descendants. A quiet laugh escaped my lips, half mocking, half bitter, as I wiped away the last of my tears. So this is what it looks like when Hubert truly loves someone. Despite Neil had given birth to another man's child, he was still willing to give her everything. His wealth, his devotion, his entire life. If that's what he wanted, then I'd grant him his wish. I'd disappear completely, and for the rest of this lifetime, he'd never see me again. After printing the divorce papers and scheduling a fake death service for the next day, I headed straight to the hospital where Neil had just given birth. The hospital room was packed with friends and relatives, all gathered to congratulate her. Neil sat on the bed, cradling her newborn, her laughter soft and sweet as she took slow sips of the nourishing porridge Hubert was feeding her. The moment I walked in, a flicker of panic flashed across Hubert's face. He quickly pulled me aside, lowering his voice. "Baby, don't get the wrong idea. Neil's husband is overseas and couldn't make it back in time. She grew up with us. She's practically like a sister to me. I know you still haven't forgiven your parents and don't want anything to do with them, but Neil and the baby, they're innocent." Innocent. Hubert knew better than anyone whether that was true. I was about to cut him off and bring up the divorce when suddenly Neil, still holding her baby, dropped to her knees in front of me, terror written all over her face. She clutched the newborn tightly and bowed her head in desperation. "Sister, I would admit it was me, Mom and Dad, who betrayed you back then. But please, I beg you, don't hurt my child. If you want to curse on someone, let it be me. Just me. My baby is still so small. He wouldn't be able to take it." I frowned, confused by her sudden hysteria. Then with trembling hands, Neil turned her phone toward me, showing me the screen.